There is a comprehensive approach that hits a number of areas. And let me tell you what I think is really cool for principals and some of the takeaways, some of the big issues. So we started off with FAPE, with LRE, and with IEP. And the reason I started with those three primary principles is because as a principal, P-A-L, you're the pal, as a principal, you're gonna have a lot of oversight and a lot of impact when it comes to FAPE. Is it appropriate? LRE, where are they placed? IEP, you are a central figure in that process. Now, this is a critical component and a critical piece that undergirds all of IDEA, multiple assessments, multiple data pieces, and multiple people collaborating for a child. However, let me give you some good news, especially if you're new to this process, principal. We are really good at this. You know, I've indicated a couple areas that I believe we need to make some growth in some areas of concern as a practitioner. However, I have been a principal in multiple states and multiple districts at multiple levels in my career. Everywhere I have gone, this has been done exceptionally well. So as far as feeling good about it, you can feel good generally speaking. The timelines are adhered to. The professionals who do it are usually very good with it. So what can you do? You need to take the time to understand and learn the data. Now, if you have a hard time, which some do, with understanding standard scores, stay nines, scaled scores, and sometimes when you look at some of the psychometric testing reports, you just go, oh, geez, this is overwhelming. That's fine, and it's understandable. But what I want you to do is find your school psychologist, your school LSSP, your diagnostician, and I want you to sit down with them and say, you know, because I understand the pride of being a principal and you feel like you need to know everything. And I'm not saying you do, but I have certainly been there where I had questions that I didn't want to ask because I didn't want somebody to think I didn't know something important. So what I recommend is ask to sit down with these folks and just say, hey, I would love to know your take on data and I'd love to hear your explanations. You do a beautiful job in the meetings when you go over it, but maybe if you could sit down with me, and I bet they will. Because what has really benefited me is digging into the data, digging into the achievement, digging into the ability, because the data is amazing and it gives you such insight into these children. And then as the meeting's going, you can contribute in such a meaningful manner and the parents feel fantastic. And just to see the principal that engaged, that knowledgeable, you know, that would make me feel fantastic as a father. So I just really want you to encourage you to focus on that element of it. Know you have some great professionals that are gonna handle it for you and take care of it. Now, we need to potentially reevaluate every 3 years to ensure nothing significant is wrong. Again, what's nice about this and what is adjusted, initially when the law came out, we had to redo everything. Well, they've eased up on that as a number of things actually over time. The IEP process has gotten easier, believe it or not. And what's nice about that is if we want more, we can do more. But again, we don't have to if it's not necessary. And let me tell you my strong conviction as a principal, don't over-assess kids. If you don't need it, don't do it. There are more beneficial things for the children to be doing, like recess, playing, reading. About anything other than testing is what kids need to be doing. So only test what is necessary to get the data you need to give that child a great education. Last, parents must be given prior written notice and informed consent. You cannot assess a child with one of these tools without permission. That is a major violation and you need to know that. So make sure you have that permission and not verbally. Need it in writing, you need it in that file. Another takeaway, again, we're good at this, we're good at the evaluation process, so this is less of a worry of all the other things you got to worry about. Engage fully in the data, learn your students, and contribute meaningfully. Again, I can't say it enough times. That is what this is all about in your leadership and your role as a principal. And lastly, all of this process, all of this boils down to within the IEP process, and that's what IDEA comes down to for us and for you as the principal. Data, you got to generate data. We need to evaluate our kiddos. We need to track that data. We need to document the data. We need to document what we are doing, and documentation is your best friend. And when we see a change in the data that's not going in the direction we want for the kiddo, we intervene. We make an adjustment. And you think about what other field, if the race car is going really slow and they go into the pit stop, they're going to make an adjustment. Why are we going so slow and everybody's going fast? If a football team is losing at halftime, they're going to go into the half and they're going to make adjustments. If we're getting sacked every play, we need to do something different. Education is the same thing, and that's the fundamental approach and process I want you focused on. You don't have to have the answers all the time. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be perfect in intention. And the intention is to continuously collect that information, make decisions, intervene, and get back into that cycle again. If they're not learning, they're not getting the comprehension, they're not getting the vocabulary, they're not understanding the math, okay. Well, we tried 4 other things. We're going to try a 5th. And you keep moving through that cycle. And if you do all these things, you adhere to the moral imperative, the legal imperative, and the educational imperative, you will do fantastic in this process, and you will ensure the free and appropriate public education of every child with a disability in your school.